This is a hard one to explain because it's not exactly appropriate in Hawaiian tradition to go into detail about your genealogy in public, but sometimes it's important, and sometimes you try to give as much as is necessary without getting into too much detail. So on my mother's side, part of her family moved here in the 1860s. My great-great-grandparents, their first child died shortly after his birth, and was buried here, but we aren't sure where. There's a kaniko, a Hawaiian dirge, composed at that time and published in an 1860 Hawaiian language newspaper that explains their residence here and their proximity to Kawainui and to the surrounding areas. So we have that very kind of profound connection to this place through my mom's family. My father's family belongs to the priests and ali'i of Kukaniloko, which is the birthplace of Oahu's chiefs from about 1100 forward. And we are family to Kakuhihewa, the 16th century ruling chief who made his residence in Kailua for quite some time, and to his descendants, including Kuoli'i, who also was a ruling chief here, Kuoli'i's son Peleioholani. So I'm tied on both sides to this place. The discovery of those relationships hasn't. 1980s, I was only vaguely aware of those connections, and my interest in Kawainui has spurred me to do newspaper research, to research genealogy, to firm up my understanding of why this place is so important to me. And that kind of leads into my interest in Kawainui. I married a Hula, Kihei De Silva. We have lived here since our marriage. She has lived here almost all her life. The first year and a half she lived in Manoa, and then her family moved to Ka'ohao. Her parents and her grandmother lived there with her in the same, not the same house because we had to tear it down, but on the same property that we live on now. And our children were born there. And now our first grandchild will also be born and living there. So in our own time, we have 4 and 5 generations of residents in the same place. When you do hula, one of the most important things you can do is celebrate where you're born, where you live, the connections that you have. And we began to try to understand the literature, the unwritten literature, and then later the newspaper published literature of Kailua and Kawainui, and we tried to incorporate all of that into our hula repertoire. So at about the same time that I was trying to understand our genealogical connection to this place, I was also beginning to research the many legends and chants that are specific to this place. In the 1980s, I was really lucky to be taken in friendship by Muriel Sito, who was the leading warrior of the Kawainui restoration, Kawainui preservation movement at the time. And she was working with an architect planner named Rob Raw, we call him Herlinger, and a number of people in the Kailua community on a preservation and directional plan for Kawainui. And my assignment with her was to prepare a list of as many mele chants and mo'olelo legends as I could find. And then I worked with Herlinger on a map, a really interesting, in my experience, never before seen kind of map, which detailed those chants and stories and the directions that they moved in. For example, when Hi'iaka passes through Kailua, she comes from Waimanalo and goes across Kawainui and then up to Mahinui. So that created an arrow on the map that moved across Kailua through Kawainui and up and over into Kaneohe. And we did that with as many legends as I could find back then and with as many chants. And what we ended up with was a web of Hawaiian tradition, oral tradition, orature, I guess you would call it today, which has Kawainui at the center, at the piko. And we use that as part of the argument to demonstrate the significance, the traditional cultural significance of Kawainui. Not just here to the people who lived here, but to really all of the Hawaiian storytellers and mele writers. It was extremely significant across the islands in many legends that weren't even Kawainui specific. There are many legends where the hero, the protagonist, or heroine passes through here and has significant experiences here. And if I could summarize all of those experiences, our experiences of stewardship, of the value of the land, of the importance of proper relationships with the land, of careful, responsible engagement with the water, with the pond, with the fish, with the kalo, with the what was called the momona, the fatness of the wealth of Kawainui. So it's a long journey, and by no means have we peaked, have we exhausted what there is, or do we feel even close to having the kind of understanding that we're working towards here.